Hi, my name is Dr. Kamara Rhynd, and today I will be talking about what we know presently about SARS coronavirus 2 in wildlife and domestic animals. Right. As stated before, coronaviruses are a large group of RNA viruses, which were commonly found in birds and mammals, and these are not always associated with disease. Several animals might be non-symptomatic carriers. The present virus, SARS coronavirus 2, is not considered likely to affect reptiles, amphibians, birds, or marine mammals, either as a cause of disease amongst them or as a reservoir for human infection. Research has shown that the virus binds to ACE2 receptors on the host cell. Luan et al. Published a study in March 2020 in which they did computer modeling of the ACE2 receptors of 42 animal species to determine potential host range. Those showing binding capability with the virus included several species of New and Old World primates, several species of small mammals, including ferrets, foxes, stoats, naked mole rats, and pangolins, several species of bats, as well as several domestic animals, including cats, dogs, pigs, horses, sheep, and cattle. The researchers also did further computer modeling and found that the receptors in dogs, cats, hamsters, and pangolins had the potential not only for binding of the virus, but also had the possibility to allow the virus to actually enter the cells. There were several species that didn't show any potential for viral binding, and they're therefore not considered potential hosts. These include dromedary camels, brown rats, platypuses, African elephants, meerkats, kangaroo rats, and guinea pigs. In terms of actual response to viral exposure, several species have undergone experimental inoculation with the virus. Those found to be susceptible to infection included ferrets, cats, Egyptian fruit bats, and rhesus monkeys. There were varying responses in terms of symptoms seen and ability to transmit to other animals. Ferrets and cats seem to allow for viral replication and transmission to other animals. The species which did not produce any considerable viral replication included pigs, chickens, ducks, and dogs. The virus has been around for a few months, and hundreds, if not thousands, of animals have been exposed through infected owners. SARS coronavirus 2 is considered an emerging disease and is reportable to the OIE. But to date, there have been extremely very few reports of the virus in companion animals. In February and March this year, 2 dogs from Hong Kong, both with owners who had COVID-19, tested positive for the virus. Neither animal displayed any clinical signs, and only one tested positive for neutralizing antibodies. In March 2020, a cat from Belgium presented with signs of respiratory and digestive disease. Their owner was also diagnosed with COVID-19. A virus RNA was also found in the stool and vomit, and the official report states that it was a suspected productive viral infection and that clinical signs were compatible with the coronavirus. There was a report of an infected cat in Hong Kong in March 2020 as well. This animal showed no signs of illness, and no official report has been submitted to the OIE to date. From March 27th, over the course of a week, 4 tigers and 3 lions at the Bronx Zoo in New York displayed respiratory signs and mild anorexia. Only one of those animals was tested for coronavirus 2. That was the first animal that was showing signs. And on April 4th, it was confirmed that it was SARS-CoV-2 positive. As the zoo had been closed to the public since mid-March, it was thought that the virus was transmitted from an asymptomatic keeper. To date, all the animals are receiving antibiotics and supportive care, and all are stable and recovering. As a result of this incident, the Institute had enhanced PPE for all staff caring for non-domestic felines at all WCS zoos. The felid tag group of the Association of Zoos and Aquarium Veterinary Advisors presume that all non-domestic felines are susceptible to SARS-CoV-2, and they advised that their facilities do a comprehensive risk assessment, which included PPE management and disinfection protocols, limiting staff access to feline holdings, reassessment of proximity to the cats during certain management procedures, and screening of staff with access to felines for any symptoms of the virus. Of great concern is also susceptibility of the great ape population. So great apes have been known to be susceptible to some human respiratory viruses. At the moment, there are no studies looking at the transmission potential or pathogenicity of the virus between humans and great apes, but the Species Survival Plan Veterinary Advisor Group considers it a significant threat to great apes in human care. As a result, they also suggested mitigation strategies along the same lines as that of the non-domestic felines, which include enhanced PPE, reducing all human-ape interactions to the minimum, keeping visitors more than 6 feet away from the apes or behind impenetrable barriers, or even considering closing those habitats altogether. And also putting in place protocols and questionnaires to screen staff that contact great apes for symptoms of COVID-19. Apart from the captive population, consideration is given to the wild great ape populations. The IUCN has best practice guidelines for disease control in great apes, which includes ensuring all individuals coming into contact with great apes are in close proximity or wearing clean clothing and disinfected footwear, providing hand washing facilities and supplies, and requiring that a surgical mask be worn by anyone coming within 10 meters of the great apes. Also reinforcing proper hygiene etiquette, providing hand sanitizer, ensuring that there are proper toilet facilities that are provided away from the forest, and imposing a 14-day quarantine for people arriving from outside the country who will come into more frequent contact with the great apes, which includes veterinarians, researchers, and journalists. There's also consideration being given to suspend great ape tourism and reduce field research altogether. In terms of testing for SARS-CoV-2, there are no commercially available kits at this point. IDEXX Laboratories has stated that they have a real-time PCR test, which has been tried out in more than 4,000 animals in infected areas in South Korea and the US. None of these animals so far has been found positive. They also claim that there is no cross-reactivity between the new PCR test and those coronaviruses normally affecting companion animals, but monitoring is ongoing. Another company, Zoologics, states that they provide PCR testing services of research animals, zoo and wildlife species, and companion animals. And some research and veterinary diagnostic labs are developing their own test kits for the virus. So those animals being used for SARS coronavirus 2 research models include rhesus macaques, as they are found to have mild infection and get an interstitial pneumonia, which is similar to that being seen in humans. Transgenic mice are also being used. These mice are humanized ACE2 mice, as normal mice are not susceptible, and these animals also show only mild form of the disease. And also ferrets are being used because they're able to get the infection and also transmit it to other animals. So they present a possible infection and transmission model for SARS. All of these may be helpful in vaccine and treatment development for SARS coronavirus 2. In summary, to date, there's evidence of susceptibility to the virus in rhesus macaques, domestic and wild felids, ferrets, and bats. At the moment, the rhesus macaques, ferrets, and bats have only been shown to be susceptible to infection under experimental conditions. There is no known natural transmission in a natural setting so far. There's a possibility of infection in great apes and other primate species. African green monkeys have been known to be susceptible experimentally to the SARS virus. So there's a great possibility that they will be susceptible to SARS coronavirus 2 as well. Again, there's no known natural transmission in these animals. But as such, necessary precautions should be taken when interacting with these species in terms of human to animal transmission. So enhanced PPE, proper hygiene practices should be observed when dealing with them. There is no evidence to date of transmission of SARS coronavirus 2 from animals to humans, and research is ongoing. This is a list of some of the references that were used in the presentation. And I thank you for listening. There were some questions that were posed at the webinar. The first is, has there been any studies or evidence of transmission from humans to monkeys or vice versa? The answer to that question is no, there hasn't been any evidence to date. Research was still ongoing in that area. Secondly, early on in the last presentation, it was made apparent that marine mammals are not susceptible. Can you confirm whether sea lions were a part of this? Marine mammals have been known to be susceptible to coronaviruses, but not those in the same family. There were studies that were done to look for coronaviruses in sea lions, seals, as well as dolphins. They were able to isolate viruses from, or find evidence of viruses of coronaviruses in dolphins in that particular study, but none were found in sea lions. That particular study didn't find them in seals either, but a separate study had found coronaviruses in seals. That being said, these coronaviruses found in seals were of the alpha coronavirus family, and the ones found in the dolphins, as well as coronaviruses that have been found in a beluga whale, are part of the gamma coronavirus family. So yes, sea lions were part of that study, but there hasn't been a lot of evidence of coronaviruses in marine mammals. As well as animals tend to be susceptible to coronaviruses from a particular family, seeing as marine mammals are susceptible to alpha coronaviruses and gamma coronaviruses. It is thought that they would not be as susceptible to this present one, SARS-CoV-2, as that is a beta coronavirus. Question is, given the paucity of information specific to sea lions and the level of interaction between people and sea lions that may occur at captive marine mammal facilities, including kisses on the cheek, would you recommend any limits on interactions between people and captive sea lions, or is enough generally known that this is not a concern? I would say at this point in time, even though much is not known, I would still limit the interactions with the animals, especially with people who might be ill. For providing PPE for the people who are working at this facility to protect human health is important. Whether or not the animals can be affected by the COVID-19, as I said, not likely, but research is still ongoing. So probably limit that close personal contact with the animals right now until more is known. The last question is, what is latest with respect to livestock animals and food production? Well, as said earlier in the presentation, those animals who are not likely to be susceptible, poultry and pigs, even though some of the other species like cattle and sheep, even though research has shown by computer modeling that their cells are able to bind to the virus, it doesn't necessarily mean that the virus will enter and proliferate into those animals. And to date, there's been not much research with respect to livestock animals and food production systems. So in terms of animal health in that respect, there's not much evidence of, there's no evidence of COVID-19 being present in livestock at this point.